26th session of the Senate and
Thank
the
you,
third
boss. Thank
regular
you.
session
Thank
of the
you.
18th Congress is hereby called to order. Let us all rise and maybe 1 minute of silent prayer. Thank you. The Secretary will please call the roll.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senator Angara,
Present.
Senator Binay,
Present.
Senator Cayetano, Senator De Lima, Senator De La Rosa, present. Senator Drilon,
Present.
Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, present. Senator Gordon, Senator Ontiveros,
Present.
present. Present. Go, Ontiveros, present. Senator Lacson, Senator Lapid, Senator Marcos,
Present.
Senator Pacquiao,
Present.
Senator Pangilinan,
Present.
Senator Pimentel III, Senator Poe, Senator Recto,
Present.
present. Senator Revilla Jr.,
Present. Present.
Senator Tolentino, Senator Villanueva,
Present. Present.
Senator Villar, Senator Zubiri,
Present.
Senate President Soto III is present. Parang tatlo ba?
With 8 senators physically present and 11 senators virtually present for a total of 19, the chair declares the presence of a quorum.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Majority
President.
Leader.
Mr. President, before we take up our official matters today, we would just like to, I'd like to put on record that we have with us in the gallery the presence of our new police chief PNP, the chief of the PNP, Philippine National Police, Police General Leonardo Carlos is with us today.
Welcome to the Senate, PNP Chief Carlos. Welcome to the Senate.
And together with his officers.
Yes.
So we'd like to thank him for visiting us and paying courtesy calls to our senators. And moving forward, Mr. President, before we forget, because Monday we may not have any work. Apparently, there's going to be a
National Vaccination Day.
National Vaccination Day will be on Monday. But before we forget, Monday also happens to be, Mr. President, the birthday of our dear Minority Floor Leader, Franklin M. Drilon. Advance, happy birthday, sir. But we'll be awaiting on Wednesday.
birthday.
Sir. Sunday. This Sunday pala, sorry, this Sunday. Pero
Happy birthday.
tayo ng Wednesday, di ba, Mr. President?
Batchoy, batchoy, batchoy.
Tatoys, Mr. President.
Tatoys.
We'll expect that on December 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday
Happy
to our
birthday.
Happy
distinguished
birthday.
former Senate President.
Mr. President, Parliament,
Happy birthday.
thank
Senator
you.
Dillon, yes, go ahead.
Yes, we have no session on Monday, November 29, or is it a holiday?
Actually, Mr. President, because November 30 is a holiday, we were really planning to sandwich it and just declare a session on December 1. But the good Senate President also reminded me today that the President, I think, will call for a 3-day vaccination holiday also. So talagang wala po tayong pasok sa
It's a National Vaccination Day on Monday.
Okay,
All right.
Yes, sir.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. So,
So yung
but
blowout
it
po
does
pwede
not,
ng December 1.
but it does not excuse you from the usual here on.
I will not excuse myself, sir.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you very much,
We
sir.
look forward to it. Thank you.
That's my last birthday as a senator. Do not forget that.
Yun,
Oh,
yeah,
we must
correct.
all be here that day. So those who can come, please come. Let us celebrate.
Former Senate President, former Secretary of Labor, former Secretary of Justice, former Executive Secretary,
Former senator.
former Senator.
Wala pa po. Senator pa po. Till June 3rd.
Oo nga pala.
We will be here,
Alright.
sir, to partake of the celebration of your life.
December 1, December 1.
December 1. Very good. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, sir.
Go ahead, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we defer the approval of the Journal of the 25th session, November 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 22, and 23, 2021, as it's still being finalized.
All right. Hearing no objection, the approval is deferred.
While our colleagues are here, Mr. President, I just want to express my deepest appreciation and thanks to, of course, the Senate President, the presiding officer, and to all our members, particularly the chairman of the Committee on Finance, Senator Angara, for a job well done. We finished the budget last night at 10:30 in the evening on the interpellation side. And also to the Secretariat, we'd like to thank the Secretariat. Si Secretary
Myra.
Federica was here, Myra, si Jen, our Sergeant at Arms, si General was here, and all the members of the staff of the senators
And we
the Secretary.
welcome back DepSec Belian.
Yes, welcome back, Tepsep. Ayan. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the Senate leadership, to the Majority Leader, to yourself, Mr. President, of course, the Minority Leader, Senate President Pro Temp, all our vice chairs, all our senators, please. Thank you.
Yes, a
Alright.
job well done to our chairperson, Mr. President. So, reminder also, we're trying to help our chairman of the Committee on Finance. We're also pushing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chairman, we are pushing, Mr. President, the passage of second reading and third reading on December 1, Wednesday.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
So.
Yes,
we'll all
sir.
be
Yes,
praying.
sir.
Okay. Mr. President, with that, I move to proceed with the reference to business.
Would you like to go for the third reading first? But,
Oh, sure, Mr. President.
While
How
we
many
still
third
have
readings
the-
we have? We have
Wala pa.
Senator
Alright.
Gordon is asking lang if he can.
Okay, okay. Let's,
So we can
the
do
reference
reference
of business, the Secretary will proceed.
Reference of business, messages from the House of Representatives. Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 17 November 2021, it ratified the Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of House Number 8203 entitled An Act Promoting the Use of Microgrid Systems to Accelerate the Total Electrification of Unserved and Underserved Areas Nationwide, and Senate Number 1928, An Act Promoting the Use of Microgrid Systems for the Total Electrification of Unserved and Underserved Areas.
To the archives.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 17 November 2021, it passed the following House bills in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate. House Number 10245, an act establishing the Philippine Electronic Health or e-health system and services in support of universal health care and appropriating funds therefore.
Referred to the Committees on Health, Science and Technology, and Finance.
House Number 10282, an act strengthening the Commission on Higher Education and appropriating funds therefore, amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 7722, otherwise known as the Higher Education Act of 1994.
Referred to the Committees on Higher Education, Ways and Means, and Finance.
House Number 10284, an act strengthening the mental health services of state universities and colleges and appropriating funds therefore.
To the referred to the Committees on Higher Education, Health and Demography, and Finance.
House Number 10301, an act strengthening the teacher education in the Philippines by enhancing the Teacher Education Council, establishing a scholarship program for students in the Teacher Education Program, institutionalizing the National Educators Academy of the Philippines and appropriating funds therefore, amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 7784, entitled An Act to Strengthen Teacher Education in the Philippines by establishing centers of excellence, creating a Teacher Education Council for the purpose, appropriating funds therefore, and for other purposes.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Number 10308, an act creating a Congressional Oversight Committee on Education to review and assess the state of Philippine education and recommend policy reforms to harmonize and enhance the policies and programs of Philippine basic, technical, vocational, and higher education.
To the Committees on Basic Education, Higher Education, both of them.
House Number 10323, an act providing for a revised flag and heraldic code of the Philippines, repealing for the purpose Republic Act Number 8491, otherwise known as the Flag and Heraldic Code of the Philippines.
To the Committee on Basic Education,
House Number 10327, an act strengthening the promotion and delivery of mental health services in basic education through the hiring and deployment of mental health professionals and appropriating funds therefore.
to the Committees on Basic Education, Health, and Finance.
House Number 10324, an act increasing the bed capacity of the Hospital ng Palawan in the city of Puerto Princesa, province of Palawan, from 100 to 400 beds and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
House Number 10325, an act converting the Cotabato Provincial Hospital in the city of Kidapawan, province of Cotabato, into a tertiary level regional hospital to be known as the North Cotabato Regional Hospital and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
House Number 10326, an act separating the Datu Danwata Elementary School, TFS, of Balis Extension in Barangay Datu Danwata, Municipality of Malita, Province of Davao Occidental, from the Datu Danwata Elementary School, converting it into an independent elementary school to be known as the Balis Elementary School and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Basic Education and Finance.
House Number 10328, an act separating the Dulop National High School, Labangon Annex in Barangay Labangon, Municipality of Dumingkag, Province of Zamboanga del Sur, from the Dulop National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as the Bangon Subanen Agricultural National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Basic Education and Finance.
Resolutions, PS Resolution Number 950, resolution calling for the Senate Committee on Energy to conduct an inquiry into the propriety of allowing a single private entity to control almost all of the nation's strategic fossil energy assets in the West Philippine Sea, introduced by Senator Ontiveros.
To the Committee on Energy.
PS Resolution Number 951, resolution expressing the sense of the Senate to support the opposition of farmers, the National Irrigation Administration, NIA, and the local governments of Dolores and Tiaong, Quezon, to the Lumbo Spring Bulk Water Supply Project due to its critical impact on Quezon Province's water supply and the national government's thrust towards food security, introduced by Senator Pangilinan.
To the Committee on Rules.
PS Resolution Number 952, resolution congratulating the National Federation of Women's Clubs of the Philippines on the celebration of its centennial anniversary, recognizing its invaluable contribution in promoting the welfare of women in the country and commending their accomplishments in social development and nation building, introduced by Senator Revilla Jr.
The Committee on Rules.
Committee reports. Committee report number 336, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House number 586, introduced by Representative Bangawag et al., entitled An Act Separating the Balbalan Agricultural Industrial School, Balbalan Proper Extension in Barangay Balbalan Proper, Municipality of Balbalan, Province of Kalinga, from the Balbalan Agricultural Industrial School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Eastern Balbalan National High School and appropriating funds, therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, taking into consideration Senate number 1601, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 337, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House number 9657, introduced by Representative Gatchalian et al., entitled An Act Separating the Roberta de Jesus Elementary School, Disciplina Village Elementary School Extension in Disciplina Village, Barangay Bignay, Valenzuela City, Metro Manila, from the Roberta de Jesus Elementary School, converting it into an independent elementary school to be known as Disciplina Village Elementary School and appropriating funds, therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 338, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House number 9659, introduced by Representative Escudero et al., entitled An Act Separating the Celestino G. Tabuena Memorial National High School, Mercedes B. Peralta Senior High School Extension in Barangay Ginlaon, West District, Sorsogon City, Province of Sorsogon, from the Celestino G. Tabuena Memorial National High School, converting it into an independent senior high school to be known as Mercedes B. Peralta Senior High School and appropriating funds, therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 339, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House number 9660, introduced by Representative Escudero et al., entitled An Act Separating the Lydia D. Martinez Memorial High School, Sugod Senior High School Extension in Barangay Sugod, Bacon District, Sorsogon City, Province of Sorsogon, from the Lydia D. Martinez Memorial High School, converting it into an independent senior high school to be known as Sugod Senior High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 340, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House Number 10184, introduced by Representative Frasco et al., entitled An Act Separating the Arcelo Memorial National High School, Liloan National High School Annex in Barangay Poblacion, Municipality Liloan, Province of Cebu, from the Arcelo Memorial National High School, converting it to an independent national high school to be known as Liloan National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 341, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House Number 10186, introduced by Representative Delipe et al., entitled An Act Separating the Arena Blanco National High School, Tigtabon Annex in Barangay Tigtabon, Zamboanga City, from the Arena Blanco National High School, converting it to an independent national high school to be known as Tigtabon National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 342, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, on House Number 10187, introduced by Representative Dalipe et al., entitled An Act Separating the Arena Blanco National High School, Mampang Annex in Barangay Mampang, Zamboanga City, from the Arena Blanco National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Mampang National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
The calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 343, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House Number 10188, introduced by Representative Dalipe et al., entitled An Act Separating the Manikahan National High School, Lamisahan Annex in Barangay Lamisahan, Zamboanga City, from the Manikahan National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Lamisahan National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 344, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House Number 10189, introduced by Representative Almaria et al., entitled An Act Separating the Libudo National High School, Shanghai Extension in Barangay Shanghai, Mati City, Province of Davao Oriental, from the Libudon National High School, converting it into an independent national high school to be known as Shanghai National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 345, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House Number 10278, introduced by Representative Tejada et al., entitled An Act Separating the Malinaw High School, Pinamulaan Annex in Barangay Pinamulaan, Municipality Banisilan, Province of Cotabato, from the Malinaw High School, converting it to an independent national high school to be known as Pinamulaan National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 346, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House Number 10279, introduced by Representative Escudero et al., entitled An Act Converting the San Lorenzo Elementary School in Barangay Bibingkahan, Sorsogon City, Province of Sorsogon, into an integrated school to be known as the San Lorenzo Integrated National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 347, submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, and House Number 9658, introduced by Representative Petebella et al., entitled An Act Converting the Pinaglabanan High School in Barangay Pinaglabanan, Municipality of Goa, Province of Camarines Sur, into a national high school to be known as Pinaglabanan National High School, and appropriating funds therefore, recommending its approval with amendment, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
To the calendar for ordinary business. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, while we are waiting, there's a request, special request by the Chairman of the Committee of Justice, since this is a bill that will be taking up for third reading approval. He'll be arriving at 3:40, apparently 3:40. Maybe we can just proceed with the sponsorship of several bills. Anyway, sponsorship lamang po ito, Mr. President. So we'll skip first the approval on third reading for a later hour, not a later hour, but in about 20 minutes, Mr. President. So with that, with the permission of the body, I move to transfer from calendar ordinary business to special order. Senate Bill Number 2449, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, so transferred.
Mr. President, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 2449 and ask the Secretary to read the title of the measure.
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
Senate Bill number 2449, an act strengthening protections against trafficking in persons, amending for this purpose Republic Act number 9208 as amended by Republic Act number 10364, entitled An Act to Institute Policies to Eliminate Trafficking in Persons, especially women and/or children, establishing the necessary institutional mechanisms for the protection and support of trafficked persons and other special laws, providing penalties for its violations and for other purposes.
We consider Senate Bill 2449, and would you like to recognize this
Yes,
sponsor?
Mr. President, the sponsor is no other than our colleague, Senator Risa Ontiveros, to sponsor and to co-sponsor. We have two members who wish to co-sponsor, Mr. President, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian and Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. So we'll start, of course, with the principal sponsor, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
All right, Senator Risa on the
You're first.
Salamat po, Mr. President. Mr. President, dear colleagues, it's my honor to sponsor Senate Bill number 2449 or Committee Report number 333. This bill expands on the provisions of Republic Act number 9208 as amended by Republic Act number 10364, otherwise known as the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act. In the course of my work as chairperson of the Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality, napakadami kong nakilalang mga taong tumatak na sa aking diwa at kaisipan. Individuals whose life stories have made them difficult to forget. Nandyan si Karina, menor de edad, na biktima ng sex trafficker na binenta siya sa mga kliyenteng Chino na empleyado ng Pogo. Nandyan si Omaima, biktima ng labor trafficking papunta sa gitnang silangan. Gamit ang pekeng registration of birth at kinasangkapan ang belo na simbolo ng kanyang kinagisnan na kultura para ikubli ang totoong edad, siya ay dinala para magtrabaho sa ibang bansa kung saan abuso at paghihirap ang nadatnan. At sino ang makakalimot kay Diana, biktima ng trafficking sa Syria at pinilit ng kanyang recruiter na ipalaglag ang anak na nasa sinapupunan. Ehemplo ng karumal-dumal na karahasan na dulot ng trafficking, partikular sa mga kababaihan. It is for them and for the people and stories and realities they represent that we sponsor this important bill today. A bill that is also a LEDAC priority measure and one of the highest urgency. I also wish to acknowledge the other authors of this measure, Senators Pia Cayetano, Cynthia Villar, Sherwin Gatchalian, and Leila De Lima, as well as the government agencies that helped inform this bill, kasama ang DOJ, DICT, NBI, PNP, NTC, at DSWD. Siyempre, malaking pasasalamat sa mga advocates gaya ng Coalition Against Trafficking of Women Asia Pacific, Child Rights Network, Blas Ople Foundation, at iba pa. At sa private sector, gaya ng SMART, Globe, Facebook, GCash, at iba pa. As you can see, this bill is a true collaborative effort among many stakeholders. What are the key provisions of this committee report? First, it holds internet intermediaries accountable for knowingly allowing their infrastructure to be used for acts of trafficking of victims of all ages. Second, it introduces additional aggravating circumstances, notably when the crime is committed during a crisis, a public health concern, this includes a pandemic, a disaster, a humanitarian conflict or emergency situation, or when the trafficked person is a survivor of the same. Third, it provides additional tools for law enforcers to pursue human traffickers, particularly when the violations involve the use of internet and digital platforms. An example is providing law enforcers the capacity to access non-content data, such as subscriber information and traffic data, upon formal request to internet intermediaries. To note, content data will still require a warrant. Fourth, it increases protections to victims of trafficking, including Filipino victims of trafficking in persons overseas. And lastly, it increases duties of local government units in providing recovery and reintegration support to trafficked persons and their families. This is consistent with the planned devolution of anti-trafficking measures from the DSWD to local government units. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President, at mga minamahal kong mga kasama.
All right, the Majority Leader. Oh, yes, it's Senator Chairman Gatchalian is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, good afternoon. We saw in the early stages of the pandemic that children were less vulnerable to COVID-19 infection, but this health crisis exposed them to other threats. One of these is the alarming surge of online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, or WASEC, which has become a silent pandemic, one that we need to curtail. And while we have already approved a bill that defines and penalizes WASEC, Senate Bill number 2449 would not have been timelier, as it would strengthen our government's crackdown on WASEC and other forms of trafficking. Mr. President, children are among the most vulnerable to trafficking crimes in our country. The State Department's 2021 Trafficking in Persons report on the Philippines showed that most of these 73 traffickers convicted under the Anti-Trafficking Act and related laws in 2020 subjected children to sex trafficking, with 25 of them sexually exploiting children online. It is also worth noting that in 2020, the Department of Justice Office of Cybercrime received 1.29 million cyber tip line reports of alleged WASEC cases from US-based National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The figure is thrice the 426,000 reported in 2019. While the National Bureau of Investigation clarified that these reports do not reflect actual cases of WASEC, these figures are nonetheless alarming for a country which the UNICEF identified as the global epicenter of live stream sexual abuse trade. Learning woes during the pandemic made our children more vulnerable to WASEC. In January this year, we heard alarming reports of students selling lewd images and videos to raise funds for their distance learning expenses. This representation has called on the Department of Justice and the Philippine National Police to probe these incidents and strengthen their crackdown on WASEC. To our gratitude, their response was swift. When this matter caught the attention of the executive branch, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles relayed the President's call to Congress to prioritize amendments to our anti-trafficking laws. The proposed amendments include the exemption of trafficking in persons from the anti-wiretapping law, broadening the membership of the Interagency Council Against Trafficking, or IACTRA, and imposing obligations on Internet Service Providers, or ISPs, and tourism establishments to help combat child pornography in the country. As the co-author and co-sponsor of this measure, I am deeply grateful that we are finally taking up this measure to protect our children. I would like to thank the sponsor of this measure, Senator Riza Ontiveros, for substantially adopting the principle in the bill that this representation filed, and for coming up with a measure that aligns with the bill we passed against human trafficking. In a nutshell, we are strengthening Republic Act number 9208 as amended by Republic Act number 10364 to provide standards and guidelines on surveillance, interception, investigation, and prosecution of different forms of human trafficking, including sexual exploitation, prostitution, forced labor, slavery, and removal or sale of organs, among others. When it comes to investigation involving the use of the internet and other digital platforms, the regional trial court can provide a written order authorizing law enforcers to conduct surveillance and record communications and information involving persons charged with or suspected of trafficking. Law enforcers, however, should establish reasonable grounds that a crime of trafficking has been committed, is plotted, or taking place. Law enforcers who record communications with a person or persons who are reasonably believed to have committed, is committing, or about to commit any trafficking crimes shall not be liable under the provisions of Republic Act Number 4200 or the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. The same procedures will not also be considered as wiretapping or illegal interception. When I filed my version of this measure, I sought to enumerate the responsibilities of internet service providers, or ISPs, and tourism-oriented establishment to report and prevent cases of trafficking. ISPs should install available technology, program, or software to block and filter any access to any form of child pornography. One of the responsibilities of tourism-oriented establishments, on the other hand, is to train their staff to recognize signs of human trafficking crimes so that they can report them to law enforcement agencies. I strongly support the move on the part of our sponsor to increase the participation and accountability of the private sector in preventing human trafficking by emphasizing the roles and responsibilities of businesses, especially internet intermediaries, owners and operators of internet cafes, hotspots, and kiosks, money transfers and remittance centers, banks, money service businesses, credit card companies, and financial institutions, among others. We're also seeking to reorganize the Interagency Council Against Trafficking, or AYACAT, to include agencies like the Department of Health, Department of Information and Communication Technology, Department of Transportation, the Department of Tourism, the National Council on Disability Affairs, and the Council for the Welfare of Children. As chairperson of Senate Committee on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, I welcome the proposal to include the Department of Education in the reorganized AYACAT. I also support the proposed mandate for the DepEd to implement school-based anti-trafficking and WASEC preventive education program. Ginong Pangulo, habang pinapaigting natin ang pagsugpo sa pandemya, ganun din dapat ang ating sigasig sa pagsugpo sa mga krimen may kinalaman sa trafficking, lalo na't ang mga kabataan ay nalalagay sa panganib. Napapanahon nang paigtingin natin ang kampanya laban sa iba't ibang anyo ng trafficking at tiyakin ang kaligtasan ng ating mga kabataan, lalo na ang mga kabataan. In view of the foregoing, I joined Senator Rizon Tiveros and the other co-authors, Senators Pia Cayetano, Senators Cynthia Villar, Senators Laila De Lima, Senators Amy Marcos, in seeking the immediate passage of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Senator Ronald De La Rosa is recognized. Ano yung Senate bill nung...
Thank you, Mr. President. With the permission of the good sponsor and the principal author, I would like to be made co-author and co-sponsor of this measure, Mr. President. Thank you.
Gladly, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I would like to express my utmost gratitude to the chairperson of the Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality for never failing to champion the rights and needs of all, especially of those who are most vulnerable in our society. I stand before this august body not only as a legislator, Mr. President. I stand before you all as a parent, as a father, determined to keep children and all persons safe and well, whether it is within this physical sphere or the cybersphere. This is precisely one of the landmark changes in this proposed measure, Mr. President. It aims to strengthen our protection against all forms of exploitation and abuse, including the ones that may occur online. sa panahon ng online class, ng mga Zoom at Webex meeting, ng mga video conference sa panahon ng Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, at marami pang iba, nararapat lamang na ating siguruhing ligtas ang ating mga anak sa kanilang mga gawain at pinagkakaabalahan. I would like to reiterate my earlier point, Mr. President. As I make this manifestation, I do so not only as a legislator. That is merely secondary to my identity as a parent and father. And it is on account of my being a parent and father that I express my full and ardent support for the passage of this measure. Furthermore, I would like to urge the members of this august body to stand with and in support of our good sponsor for the earnest passage of this measure. For our children, for all of us, for the future we all hope for. Mr. President, thank you very much.
Mr. President, for the record, maraming salamat kay Sen. Duroy and gladly welcomed as a co-author and co-sponsor. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Mr. President, Senator
Joel
Dole would like to be recognized.
Senator Joel Villanueva is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleague. With the permission of our principal sponsor and author, Senator Risa, and co-authors, this representation would like also to be considered as one of your co-authors, as we have worked together for so many bills and measures here in the Senate regarding this particular issue. I would be honored if I would be included as one of the co-authors and co-sponsors of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Likewise, honored, Mr. President.
Likewise, Mr. President, with the permission of Chairperson Risa and the other co-authors, I'd also request to be made a co-author like Senator Joel, please. And congratulations po.
Very
Mr.
gladly,
President,
Mr. President. Salamat po.
Mr. President, there's also requests from yours truly. If Ma'am Risa can join me with another happy bill that she's passing in the Senate together with Senator Grace Poe, who's beside me, and I believe Senator Nancy is online as well, to be made a co-author, co-sponsor. Thank
Very
you.
gladly, Mr. President, to our happy majority leader and our dear fellow senators Nancy and Grace. Salamat po ng marami.
There's also a request from Senator Tolentino. Siguro lahat na po, Mr. President, kung papayag si Senator Risa, lahat na po ng members ng Senado be made a co-author and co-sponsor.
Papayag po, Mr. President. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you. And to allow our colleagues to study this measure further, Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration is suspended.
Senator Gordon already? Wala pa. Okay. Sige po. Moving forward, with the permission of Senator Gatchalian, who has a lot of high schools, he will sponsor. Ladies first, nag-request po ako, Mr. President, na kung pwede, unahin na lang po natin ang ating mahal na chairperson ng Committee on Public Services. Mr. President, these are all local bills. So with the permission of the body, we can do omnibus sponsorship of, wala pa na OB na? Pa pala na OB. Where's the OB? Ginagawa, piniprint. Sorry. If that's the case, we go back to the gentleman from Valenzuela, Mr. President, as they're still printing the OB. It's a technical issue that we have to wait for the reference of business before we can transfer. May I ask for 1 minute suspension?
Session suspended.
Yeah, we'll finish soon. We should finish. Mr. President, these are all local bills, but they are clustered into 3 parts. So first will be on the bills that are separation of schools, And with the permission of the body, I move to transfer to the calendar of ordinary business House Bill number 586, House Bill number 9657, House Bill numbers 9659, House Bill number 9660, House Bill number 10184, House Bill number 10186, House Bill number 10187, House Bill number 10188, House Bill number 10189, House Bill number 10278. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, the enumerated House bills are so transferred.
Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move that we consider the aforementioned bills, Mr. President. And ask the Secretary to read the title of.
Secretary will read the short titles of the measures.
House Bill number 9660, an act separating the Lydia D. Martinez Memorial High School, Sugod Senior High School Extension, converting it to the Independent Senior High School, and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill number 10184, an act separating the Arcelo Memorial National High School, Liloan National High School Annex, converting it to an Independent National High School, and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill number 10186, an act separating the Arena Blanco National High School Tigtabon Annex, converting it to the Independent National High School, and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill number 10187, an act separating the Arena Blanco National High School Mampang Annex, converting it to an Independent National High School, and appropriating funds therefore. An act separating the Manikahan National High School Limasahan Annex, converting it to the Independent National High School, and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill number 10189, an act separating the Libudon National High School Shanghai Extension, converting it to an Independent National High School, and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill number 10278, an act separating the Malinaw High School Pinamulaan Annex, converting it to an Independent National High School, and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
May we recognize the sponsor of all the measures, the chairman of the Committee on Basic Education, other than a distinguished colleague from Valenzuela, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian.
Hearing no objection, the enumerated House bills are now considered, and the sponsor may deliver an omnibus sponsorship speech.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, there are 10 local bills here, but I will just deliver one omnibus sponsorship speech for all the said bills. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, good afternoon. Today, I'm honored to sponsor 10 local bills that aim to separate extension or annex schools from their main schools. These are House Bill numbers 586, taking into consideration Senate Bill number 1601, House Bill numbers 9657, 9659, 9660, 10184, 10186, 10187, 10188, 10189, and 10278. The extension schools that we seek to separate from their mother schools under these proposed measures are the following: Balbalan Agricultural and Industrial School, Balbalan Proper Extension in the municipality of Balbalan, Kalinga, Roberta de Jesus Elementary School, Disciplina Village Elementary School Extension in Valenzuela City, Celestino G. Tabuena Memorial High School, Mercedes B. Peralta Senior High School Extension in Sorsogon City, Lydia D. Martinez Memorial High School, Sugod Extension, also in Sorsogon City, Arcelo Memorial National High School, Liloan National High School, Annex in the municipality of Liloan, Cebu, Arena Blanco National High School, Tigtabon Annex in Zamboanga City, Arena Blanco National High School, Mampang Annex in Zamboanga City, Manikahan National High School, Lamisahan Annex also in Zamboanga City, Libudon National High School in Shanghai Extension in Mati City, Davao Oriental, and Melinao National School, Pinamuluan Annex in the municipality of Banisilan, Cotabato. Mr. President, these extension schools bring education opportunities closer to the students. It will ensure more efficient services to the public, foster self-sustainability in the surrounding communities, and avoid congestion. Separating these extension schools from their main campuses, however, will require them to manage their own maintenance and other operating expenses and establish their own personal services itemization, as well as plantilla of personnel. Turning these extension schools into independent schools is also crucial when it comes to responding to the educational needs of a growing population. Should these proposed measures become law, the extension schools will be renamed respectively as Eastern Balbalan National High School, Disciplina Village Elementary School, Mercedes B. Peralta Senior High School, Sugod Senior High School, Iloan National High School, Tigtabon National High School, Mampang National High School, Lemisahan National High School, Shanghai National High School, and Pinamulaan National High School. I would also like to inform this honorable body that the Department of Education has certified that these proposed measures comply with DepEd Order Number 40, Series of 2014, entitled Establishment, Merging, Conversion, and Renaming of Public Schools and Separation of Public School Annexes in Basic Education. In view of the foregoing, I humbly seek the support of this esteemed body for the immediate passage of these measures. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, to allow our colleagues to study the measure further, I move to suspend consideration of all these measures sponsored by the.
All right,
sponsor.
hearing no objection, all the measures are suspended. Consideration is suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we transfer from the calendar of ordinance to special order House Bill number 10279.
Any objection? Hearing none, so transferred.
Mr. President, I move to consider House Bill number 10279 as Secretary to read the title.
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 10279, an act converting the San Lorenzo Elementary School in Barangay Bibingkahan, Sorsogon City, Province of Sorsogon, into an integrated school to be known as the San Lorenzo Integrated National School and appropriating funds therefore.
Mr. President, may we recognize the sponsor, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, to sponsor the motion.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, good afternoon once again. Today, I'm honored to sponsor House Bill number 1279, an act which seeks to convert San Lorenzo Elementary School in Barangay Bibinkahan, Sorsogon City, into an integrated school. Barangay Bibinkahan, where the school is located, has a population of 15,738, 30.69% of which are age 14 and below, according to the 2015 census. The population is projected to grow to 18,693 this year, while the population of the entire city of Sorsogon is projected to grow to 199,675. San Lorenzo Elementary School has a current enrollment of 532. The school's feasibility report shared with our office show that the nearest public secondary high school is located more or less 6 kilometers away. Given that most families in this area are farmers with low incomes, sending their children to high school imposes an additional financial burden. Considering the projected population of Barangay Bibinkahan, and the neighboring barangays, converting San Lorenzo Elementary School into an integrated school can ensure that learners as well as out-of-school youth can have proper access to full basic education from elementary to high school. Should this proposed measure become law, San Lorenzo Elementary School will be known as San Lorenzo Integrated National High School. I would like to inform this honorable body that the Department of Education has certified this measure's compliance with DepEd Order Number 40, Series of 2014, entitled Establishment, Merging, Conversion, and Renaming of Public Schools and Separation of Public School Annexes in Basic Education. Considering the needs of our kababayans and learners in Sorsogon for accessible and quality education, and in view of this proposed measures compliance with the relevant DepEd issuance, I humbly seek the support of this esteemed body for its immediate passage. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, to allow our colleagues to study the measure further, move to suspend consideration of the same.
Hearing no objections, consideration is suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer from the Governor Ordinary Business to Special Order, House Bill number 9658. Yes, 9658. I so moved.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we consider House Bill number 9658. Ask Secretary to read the title of.
The Secretary will read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 9658, an act converting the Pinaglabanan High School in Barangay Pinaglabanan, Municipality of Goa, Province of Camarines Sur into a national high school to be known as Pinaglabanan National High School and appropriating funds therefore.
Recognize, Mr. President, the sponsor, Senator Echelian, Mr. President, for this measure.
Senator Gatchalian is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the last on the list. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, good afternoon. Today, I'm honored to sponsor House Bill number 9658, which seeks to rename Pinaglabanan High School in Barangay Pinaglabanan in the Municipality of Goa, Province of Camarines Sur. Pinaglabanan High School, which became an independent secondary school in 2006, is situated at the foot of Mount Isarog. It caters to 6 barangays: Pinaglabanan, Balaynan, Digdigon, San Isidro West, and Pinamihagan. It is 5 kilometers away from the town proper and 4.5 kilometers away from Bicol State University. Should this measure become law, the renamed school will be known as Pinaglabanan National High School. Let me just put on record that while we are seeking to rename Pinaglabanan High School, it is already included in the General Appropriations Act. It has its own budget and plantilla to ensure efficient delivery of education programs and services, as well as the adequacy of facilities for learning. The Department of Education has certified that this proposed measure complies with the applicable DepEd issuance, which is the Department Order number 40 series of 2014, entitled Establishment, Merging, Conversion, and Naming, Renaming of Public Schools and Separation of Public School Annexes in Basic Education. DepEd Order number 40 recognizes the authority of Congress to name or rename all public schools through legislation. It also retains the full force and effect of DepEd Order number 29, series of 2011, or the revised guidelines on naming and renaming of schools. Since the proposed measure satisfies the guidelines set forth by the DepEd, I humbly seek this August Chamber's support for the immediate passage of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, allow our colleagues to study this measure further and move to suspend consideration of the same.
Hearing no objection, consideration is suspended.
I move to proceed to the additional reference of business, Mr. President.
Secretary will proceed. Additional reference of business.
Additional reference of business. Messages from the House of Representatives. Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 22 November 2021, it passed the following House bills in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate. House number 10444, an act converting the municipality of Baliwag in the province of Bulacan into a component city to be known as the City of Baliwag.
Yes. The referred to committees on local government and electoral reforms.
House number 10322, an act ensuring the effectiveness of official development assistance loans and grants, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 8182, otherwise known as the Official Development Assistance Act of 1996, as amended.
To the Committee on Economic Affairs.
House number 10442, an act renaming for another an act renewing for another 25 years a franchise granted to Air Philippines Corporation doing business under the name and style of Airfield Express, PAL Express, and Philippine Airlines under Republic Act number 8339 as amended by Republic Act number 9215, titled an act granting Air Philippines Corporation, Air Philippines, a franchise to establish, operate, and maintain domestic and international air transport services.
To the Committee on Public Services.
House number 10349, an act declaring the Cape Bohiador Lighthouse, located in Municipality of Burgos, Province of Ilocos Norte, a tourism destination, providing for its development and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committee on Tourism and Finance.
House number 10350, an act declaring Barangay San Miguel in the Municipality of Echage, Province of Isabela, an ecotourism zone and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Tourism, Environment, and Finance.
House Number 10454, an act declaring the Fuyot Springs National Park located in Barangay Santa Victoria, City of Ilagan, Province of Isabela, an ecotourism destination, providing for its development and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Tourism, Environment, and Finance.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 23 November 2021, it passed the following House bills in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate. House Number 10335, an act providing for the construction of the Pacific Palisades Superhighway connecting the Bicol region and the provinces of Quezon, Aurora, Quirino, Isabela, and Cagayan.
The Committees on Public Works and Finance.
House Number 10344, an act renaming the Bohol Island Circumferential Road, which commences in Barangay Poblacion 13 towards the north of the city of Tagbilaran and returns to Barangay Poblacion from the eastern side of the city of Tagbilaran in the province of Bohol as the President Carlos P. Garcia Circumferential Road.
To the Committee on Public Works.
House Number 10362, an act establishing the municipality of Ipil, province of Zamboanga, Sibugay, a medical center to be known as Zamboanga Sibugay Medical Center and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
House Number 10376, an act upgrading the Orani District Hospital, the municipality of Orani, province of Bataan, into a Level 2 General Hospital to be known as the Antonino Tony P. Roman Memorial Hospital, increasing its bed capacity from 50 to 200 beds and appropriating funds therefor.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
House Number 10451, an act increasing the bed capacity of the Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center in the city of Baguio, province of Benguet, from 800 to 1,500 beds and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
House Number 10452, an act converting the Basilisa Mother and Child Specialty Hospital in the Basilisa, province of Dinagat Island, into a Level 2 General Hospital to be known as the Ruben E. Ecleo Senior General Hospital and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
House Number 10345, an act changing the name of Stalin Elementary School in Barangay Sadsadan, Municipality of Bauco, Mountain Province to Talban P. Bitayan National High School.
To the Committee on Basic Education.
And House Number 10409, an act establishing community forests in Barangay Bayanga, Besigan, Dansolihon, Lumbia, Mambuaya, Pagalungan, Tumpagon, Pigsagan, San Simon, Taglimaw, Tagpangi, Tignapuloan, Tuburan, and Baikingon in the 1st District of Cagayan de Oro City, Province of Misamis Oriental, and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Environment and Finance.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 23 November 2021, it designated Representative Romulo Go, Mariano Hernandez, Tudor, and Bordador Jr. as conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of House Number 10301, titled An Act Further Strengthening Teacher Education in the Philippines by Enhancing the Teacher Education Council, establishing a scholarship program for students in the Teacher Education Program, institutionalizing the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, and appropriating funds therefore, amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 7784, entitled An Act to Strengthen Teacher Education in the Philippines by establishing centers of excellence, creating a Teacher Education Council for the purpose, appropriating funds therefore, and for other purposes, and Senate Number 2152, an act enhancing the quality of basic education in the Philippines by improving the quality of teachers and school leaders, strengthening the Teacher Education Council under Republic Act Number 7784, entitled An Act to Strengthen Teacher Education in the Philippines by establishing centers of excellence, creating a Teacher Education Council for the purpose, appropriating funds therefore, and for other purposes, institutionalizing the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, appropriating funds therefore, and for other purposes.
To the Committee on Rules.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 23 November 2021, it concurred with the Senate amendments to the following House bills. House Number 5644, an act declaring the city of Carcar in the province of Cebu a cultural heritage zone, and House Number 7927, an act establishing a heritage zone within the municipality of San Vicente, province of Ilocos Sur.
To the Committee, to the Archives.
Bill on first reading, Senate Number 2454, an act institutionalizing the One Tablet, One Student program for all students enrolled in public schools and state universities and colleges, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Binay.
To the Committees on Basic Education and Higher Education and Finance.
Committee reports. Committee report number 348, submitted by the Committee on Public Services on House Number 8741, introduced by Representatives Sagarbaria et al., entitled An Act Renewing for Another 25 Years the Franchise Granted to Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation under Republic Act Number 8736, entitled An Act Granting the Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio broadcasting stations anywhere in the Philippines where frequencies and/or channels are still available for radio broadcasting, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 349, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8753, introduced by Representative Romualdez et al., entitled An Act Granting the Happy Jockey Club, Inc., a franchise to construct, operate, and maintain racetracks for horse racing in the provinces of Batangas, Laguna, and Cavite, recommending its approval with amendments, taking into consideration Senate Number 2146, sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 350, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8755, introduced by Representatives Tejada and Alvarez, entitled An Act Granting Sulu Tawi-Tawi Broadcasting Foundation, Inc., a franchise to construct, install, operate, and maintain radio and television stations in the provinces of Sulu and Tawi-Tawi, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
The calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 351, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8861, introduced by Representative Marquez et al., titled An Act Granting for another 25 years the franchise granted to Panay Telephone Corporation under Republic Act Number 8704, entitled An Act Granting the Panay Telephone Corporation, Inc., a franchise to construct, establish, install, maintain, and operate local exchange network in the provinces of Aklan and Antique and in the municipality of Hanuay, province of Iloilo, limiting the area of operations to the provinces of Aklan and Antique, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 352, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8862, introduced by Representative Alonte et al., entitled An Act Renewing for another 25 years a franchise granted to Independent Telephone Company, Inc., under Republic Act Number 8615, entitled An Act Granting the Independent Telephone Company, Inc., a franchise to construct, establish, install, maintain, and operate a local exchange network in the municipality of Binyan, province of Laguna, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 353, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8871, an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Mati Telephone Corporation under Republic Act Number 8675, entitled An Act Granting the Mati Telephone Corporation a franchise to construct, establish, install, maintain, and operate local exchange network in the province of Davao Oriental, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 354, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8872, an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Ojongan Telephone Corporation under Republic Act Number 8956, entitled An Act Granting the Ojongan Telephone Corporation a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain local exchange network in the province of Romblon, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 355, submitted by the Committee on Public Services on House Number 8873, introduced by Representative Fortuna et al., entitled An Act Renewing for another 25 years, franchise granted to Iliga Telephone Company, Inc. under Republic Act Number 8962, titled An Act Granting the Iliga Telephone Company, Inc. a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain local exchange network in the province of Camarines Sur and all the cities therein, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
The calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 356, submitted by the Committee on Public Services on House Number 8877, introduced by Representative Sakaluran, tal, entitled An Act Renewing for another 25 years a franchise granted to Sultan Kudarat Telephone System, Inc. under Republic Act Number 8637, entitled An Act Granting the Sultan Kudarat Telephone System, Inc. a franchise to construct, establish, install, maintain, and operate local exchange network in the province of Sultan Kudarat, recommending its approval with amendment. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 357, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8901, introduced by Representative Garcia et al., entitled An Act Renewing for another 25 years, franchise granted to Soundstream Broadcasting Corporation under Republic Act Number 8209, titled An Act Granting Soundstream's Broadcasting Station a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio and television broadcasting stations in the province of Isabela and in other places in the Philippines, recommending its approval with amendment. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 358, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8911, introduced by Representative Rivera et al., entitled An Act Renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to RC Yulo Telephone System, Inc. under Republic Act Number 8348, entitled An Act Granting the RC Yulo Telephone System, Inc. a franchise to construct, establish, install, maintain, and operate local exchange network in the municipalities of Binalbagan, Hinigiran, Pontevedra, Murcia, Himaymaylan, and Isabela, Province of Negros Occidental, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 359, submitted by the Committee on Public Services on House Number 8913, introduced by Representative Sakaluran et al., entitled Anak Renewing for another 25 years, franchise granted to Marble Telephone System, Inc. under the Public Act Number 8449, titled Anak Granting the Marble Telephone System, Inc. a franchise to construct, establish, install, maintain, and operate local exchange network in the provinces of South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, and Sarangani, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 360, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 8973, introduced by Representative Garbin et al., entitled Anak Renewing for another 25 years, franchise granted to Nation Broadcasting Corporation of the Philippines under Public Act Number 8623, entitled Anak Granting the Nation Broadcasting Corporation a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio and television broadcasting stations in the Philippines, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 361, submitted by the Committee on Public Services on House Number 8977, introduced by Representative Romualdo et al., entitled Anak Granting for another 25 years, a franchise granted to GB Broadcasting System, Inc., presently known as Signal TV, Inc., under Republic Act Number 8169, as amended by Republic Act Number 8591, entitled Anak Amending Republic Act Number 8169, entitled Anak Granting GV Broadcasting System, Inc., a franchise to construct, install, maintain, and operate for commercial purposes radio broadcasting stations in the island of Luzon and for other purposes, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 362, submitted by the Committee on Public Services and House Number 9272, introduced by Representative Remulla and Alvarez, entitled Anak Renewing for another 25 years, a franchise granted to Enrique M. Orozco and Sons, Inc., presently known as Real Radio Network, Inc., under Republic Act Number 8717, entitled Anak Granting the E.M. Orozco and Sons, Inc., a franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio and television broadcasting stations in the Philippines, recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsor Senator Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business. There is a second additional reference to business.
Second additional reference of business resolution, PS Resolution Number 953, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments and Revision of Codes to conduct an review in aid of legislation of the country's existing criminal laws to consider the rise of social media platforms and the rapid advancement of technology, introduced by Senators Pangilinan and Drilon.
To the Committee on Constitutional Amendments.
Committee Report Number 363, prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship, Ways and Means, and Finance, on Senate Number 2455, with Senators Marcos, De Lima, Revilla Jr., and Pimentel III as authors thereof, entitled An Act to Develop and Promote the Creative Industries of the Philippines, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate Numbers 411, 2361, taking into consideration House Number 10107, sponsor Senator Pimentel III.
The calendar for ordinary business. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President,
Just
yes,
a
after
little,
yes,
a little trivia. You know, while you were reading, while the secretary was reading the franchises, renewal of franchises for another 25 years, I beginning to feel very old. Most of them were bills that I sponsored 24 years ago.
Can you imagine that, Mr. President? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh. 2.5 decades, Mr. President.
Oh, grabe.
Well, at least you have reached the pinnacle, Mr. President. When you sponsored, you were a freshman senator. Now you are
Yeah.
a Senate President.
Yes,
So,
correct.
ganda naman ang development na yan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move that we transfer from the calendar of ordinary, again, with the permission of the body, these are local franchises, and they're clustered into 3 groups. One group is broadcast, the other is for racetrack, and the other are for telcos. So with the permission of the body, Mr. President, I move to transfer from the calendar of ordinary business to special order, House Bill number 8977, House Bill number 9272, House Bill number 8741, House Bill number 8901, House Bill number 8755, and House Bill number 8973. I so move.
Any objection? Hearing none, so transferred.
Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move to consider the aforementioned bills.
Hearing no objection, the bills are considered.
Maybe ask the secretary to read it.
Secretary will read the short titles of the measures.
House Bill number 8977, renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to GB Broadcasting System, presently known as Signal TV, Inc. House Bill number 9272, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Enrique M. Orozco and Sons, presently known as Real Radio Network, Inc. House Bill number 8741, an act renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation under RA 8736. House Bill number 8901, an act renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to South Stream Broadcasting Corporation under Republic Act number 8209. House Bill number 8755, an act granting Sulu Tawi-Tawi Broadcasting Foundation, Inc. a franchise to construct, install, operate, and maintain radio and television stations in the province of Sulu and Tawi-Tawi. And House Bill number 8973, an act renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Nation Broadcasting Corporation of the Philippines under Republic Act number 8623.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, to sponsor the said measures, our distinguished colleague from Iloilo, Pangasinan, and Metro Manila, no other than our chairperson of the Committee on Public Services, Senator Grace Poe.
Senator Grace Poe is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, good afternoon. As chairperson of the Senate Committee on Public Services, it is my honor to sponsor 6 for broadcast franchises. Mr. President, the pandemic has highlighted the importance of TV and radio in our daily lives. More than its emphasis on our cultural underpinnings as Filipinos, broadcast media has been crucial to our survival. It enabled us to continuously source critical information about the global health situation and a range of other vital issues. When we can't go outside for recreation, TV and radio became a medium of entertainment. When our children couldn't do face-to-face classes, television and radio became the new school for those who didn't have access to the internet. With the renewal of the franchises of Nation Broadcasting Corporation, or NBC, under House Bill number 8973, Signal TV Incorporated, under House Bill number 8977, Real Radio Network Incorporated, known as 99.5 Play FM, under House Bill number 9272, Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation of the Diocese of Dumaguete, under House Bill number 8741, and Southern Broadcasting Corporation, known as Sweet Radio, 97.7 under House Bill 8901, we will be able to continue providing quality broadcast services to our kababayans nationwide, especially in unserved and underserved areas of the country. We also welcome the franchise application of Sulu Tawi-Tawi Broadcasting Foundation, Incorporated, under House Bill number 8755, to provide broadcast services to around 750,000 people in Sulu and Tawi-Tawi. We guarantee the body that all of the franchise applications were scrutinized and studied by the committee to make sure that all are fit to offer their avowed public service. We also sought the assistance of government regulators to help us in determining the competence and capacity of the new applicant, and the compliance and performance of these seeking renewal. SEC, NTC, and BIR clear the franchises of any pending cases of or liabilities. Mr. President, if passed into law, we will not only be making way for a better and more expansive broadcast service in the Philippines, but we will also be providing our countrymen with much needed jobs, especially as we recuperate from this pandemic. I thank the body for their preliminary support for these measures and for signing the committee reports in a timely manner. I hope that we can deliberate these with the public need in mind. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Again, with the permission of our colleagues, we'd like to suspend consideration of the matter to allow our colleagues to study these measures.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration suspended.
Mr. President, I move to transfer from the calendar of ordinary business to special order House Bill number 8753. So moved.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration, transferred.
Mr. President, move to consider House Bill number 8753 and ask the Secretary to read the title of.
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 8753, an act granting the Happy Jockey Club, Inc. a franchise to construct, operate, and maintain racetracks and for horse racing in the provinces of Batangas, Laguna, and Cavite.
Mr. President, may we recognize the sponsor, Senator Grace Poe.
Senator Grace Post recognized.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the history of horse racing in the Philippines dates back in 1867, more than 150 years ago, and was considered as a recreational activity. In 1903, betting was introduced and authorized, attracting more people into horse racing. In 1948, Republic Act number 309 was signed into law regulating horse racing in the country. The conduct of horse racing in the Philippines is divided into two jurisdictions. The sports aspect is regulated by the Philippine Racing Commission, and the betting aspect is regulated by the Games and Amusement Board. Earlier this year, we deliberated on the franchise renewal of an existing racetrack for horse racing, and we were informed by the racetrack operators that the horse racing industry is struggling, especially with the pandemic restrictions. Mr. President, naiintindihan ko po ang hamon na ito sa industriya dahil naging karerista at breeder ng kabayo po ang aking ama at lumaki kasama niya. That is why it is my privilege to sponsor franchise application of Happy Jockey Club Incorporated under House Bill number 8753 and Senate Bill number 2146 filed by our colleague Senator Ralph Recto, which seeks to operate a racetrack in Batangas. Happy Jockey aspires to be a premier horse racing and jockey club facility with an equestrian center, a veterinary care hospital, and therapy and rehabilitation center for horses, among others. Mr. President, similar to other franchise applications, we have deliberated. The committee, with the assistance of various government regulators, made sure that Happy Jockey has the resources and experience to construct, operate, and maintain a racetrack for horse racing and to hold and conduct horse races with betting. We also made sure to standardize all the provisions with those racetrack franchises we have previously approved and deliberated on the floor. Mr. President, if approved, this franchise will help boost the local horse racing industry, generating employment and revenue for the government through taxes. I thank the body for their preliminary support for these measures and for signing the committee reports in a timely manner. I hope that we can deliberate these with the public in mind. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. To allow our colleagues to study the measure, move to suspend consideration.
Before that, for the record, the father of the sponsor was the one who taught me about horse racing.
Not, well,
Thank you. All right. Any objection? Hearing none, consideration suspended.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I too am a fan of horse racing and horse breeding. So this has my support, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we, with the permission of the body, we have several telcos here, mostly local, Sulu, Kamsur, Sultan Kudarat, Davao Oriental, Romblon. So, Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move that we transfer from the calendar of ordinary business special order House Bill number 8862, 8873, 8913, 8871, 8872, 8861, 8911, and 8877. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration is in order.
Mr. President, I move that we consider the aforementioned bills and ask the Secretary to read the title of the measure.
Secretary will read the title of the measures. The short titles.
House Bill number 8862, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Independent Telephone Company, Inc. under Republic Act number 8615. House Bill number 8871, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Iriga Telephone Company, Inc. under Republic Act number 8962. House Bill number 8913, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Marble Telephone System, Inc. under Republic Act number 8449. House Bill number 8871, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Mati Telephone Corporation under Republic Act number 8675. House Bill number 8872, renewing for another 25 years a franchise granted to Ojongan Telephone Corporation under Republic Act number 8956. House Bill number 8861, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Panay Telephone Corporation under Republic Act number 8704. House Bill number 8911, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to RC Yulo Telephone System, Inc. under Republic Act number 8348. And House Bill number 8877, renewing for another 25 years franchise granted to Sultan Kudarat Telephone System, Inc. under Republic Act number 8637.
Mr. President, I move
Yes.
that we recognize the sponsor of all the measures, our distinguished colleague, Senator Grace Poe.
Senator Grace Poe is recognized.
Thank you. Once again, thank you, Mr. President. Once again, distinguished colleagues, the Committee on Public Services has the honor to sponsor the renewal of 8 telecommunications franchises. Mr. President, let me stress how critical, quality, and reliable telecommunications service is at a time when mobility is restricted due to the pandemic. Businesses are able to continuously operate and people are able to work, study, purchase necessities, and most importantly, to connect and communicate with one another, overcoming the barriers of physical mobility. Beyond the pandemic, our sponsorship of these franchises is geared towards bringing the digital divide by making telecommunications services available, accessible, and affordable to more Filipinos. With the renewal of the franchises of Panay Telephone Corporation in Aklan and Antique under House Bill number 8861, Independent Telephone Company in Binyan, Laguna under House Bill 8862, Mati Telephone Corporation in Davao Oriental under House Bill number 8871, Ojongan Telephone Corporation in Romblon under House Bill number 8872, Iriga Telephone Company in Camarines Sur under House Bill number 8873, Sultan Kudarat Telephone System in Sultan Kudarat under House Bill number 8877, RC Yulo Telephone System in Negros Occidental under House Bill number 8911, and Marbel Telephone System in Socsargen under House Bill number 8913. We will be able to hopefully continuously provide much needed telecommunication services to our kababayans, especially in unserved and underserved areas in our country. Mr. President, aside from the committee's commitment to carefully study and scrutinize these franchises, we also sought the assistance of government regulators to help us determine whether they have faithfully complied with all the duties and deliverables attached as conditions for the enjoyment of their existing franchises. We are glad to report to the body that the SEC, NTC, and BIR all cleared the franchise applicants of any pending cases or liabilities. We recognize that the grant of franchise is just the tip of the iceberg, and we need to pursue several reforms like the long overdue amendment to Republic Act number 7925 or the Public Telecommunications Policy Act and the passage of the Better Internet Act and the Open Access in Data Transmission Act. Nevertheless, Mr. President, with the renewal of these 8 telco franchises, we hope to encourage competition, drive companies to better service, and meet end user expectations. I thank my colleagues for their preliminary support for these measures. I hope that we can deliberate these with the public in mind. Again, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Our dear sponsor, to allow our colleagues to study the measure further, Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of the said measure.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration is suspended.
Mr. President,
Garas,
parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead.
We just want to know if there are any third readings today.
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
President, we were, there was a request by the
Because we're
chairperson.
waiting for that if ever, no? But
Yes.
if,
We were, to allow me to explain, Mr. President, a note was given to me by the staff of Senator Gordon that he will still be online at 3:40 in the afternoon. Unfortunately, Mr. President, many of our colleagues had to log out already. And I think it's not fair to our colleagues also not to be able to vote, because I know, for example, Senator Joel Villanueva, who had to attend to the birthday of his deceased sister, Ma'am Joni, had to leave already, but he had requested that he wanted to vote. So, Mr. President, to make it fair to everyone, with the permission of the body, we will vote on this first hour on Wednesday, December 1. So whether you're late or not, I guess we'll have to vote, Mr. President, on Wednesday, December 1, just for the information of the body.
thank
My
you,
apologies
thank
to
you,
those who are
Mr.
waiting.
President.
Thank you. It would not, if we take it up now, we may have some votes, but it would not be fair to those who would wanted to have voted for Ma'am Lizzie. And I know it's unanimous in the Senate. So I'd suggest that we just do it on December 1, Mr. President, on Wednesday.
Mr. President, just a parliamentary inquiry.
Senator Recto, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I know from the majority leader if we would be scheduling the ends bill on December 1 when we get back? Because I'm prepared for the
PNP,
interpolations
PNP.
today if it were to be called, but I have no problem if we discuss it on December 3 or whenever, Mr. President.
I think 6. Yeah,
6.
Mr. President, unfortunately, the best friend of the sponsor, Senator Pia Cayetano, had requested that the measure be taken while she would come back from the IPU.
That's fine with me, Mr. President.
Yeah, so
I
we,
have no problem with that.
for the record, so we said we'll take it up. And I know the good minority floor leader assisted me there and said that let us make it on November 22. That was the schedule. But unfortunately, we also were delayed by the budget. We took up the budget Monday and Tuesday. And therefore, I'm being badgered in the back, Mr. President, by my colleagues. But, Mr. President, so to accede to the request of our distinguished colleague, Senator Cayetano, we'll schedule it first hour, December 6, and maybe that may be the only bill that we could take up. We'll prioritize that to accommodate our colleague from Batangas, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you very much. And I apologize to our distinguished Senate President Pro Tem, but I made a commitment to the lady senator. We
Yes.
said December 6.
It's not a problem. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thanks. With that, Mr. President, there are no other measures to take up. I move that we adjourn session. Again, reminder to everyone, we'll adjourn till Wednesday. Therefore, we adjourn session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, December 1, 2021. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Any objection? Chair hears. Why are you clapping? That's
Everyone is
allowed here, huh?
clapping in the hallway, Mr. President.
I will ask the sergeant at times to bring you outside the hall. Minority leader, yes?
Just a reminder that Taco's Manok is coming to the Senate on December 1.
Yeah, hey! Yan ang papalakpak, Mr.
There
President.
you go. Now you're allowed to.
What about batchoy, Mr. President? What about batchoy? It's only chicken.
Substitute because batsu is difficult to preserve.
Okay.
Tato is sarap.
All right. Understood.
Now you're allowed to clap.
Hey! Kasama,
And-
Mr. President, sa tato's
birthday.
na manok, yung masarap nilang Blue Marlin. Meron silang
All right.
Blue Marlin.
Marlin, yeah, okay. You want also fish?
Yes.
All right. Hearing no objection.
Before we do that,
yes.
Mr. President, we'd love to see Senator Drilon if he can make it on Wednesday.
We will.
Here
We
to greet him a
will,
happy birthday.
Yes.
All right.
We
Great.
will be there. I have the permission of Mrs. Drilon.
Yay.
Wednesday,
Hey,
Mr.
very good.
President. The majority leader said Monday. He's trying to mislead the minority
No,
leader.
no, so Wednesday po, December 1, Wednesday.
Okay, any objection? Hearing none. The session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, December 1, 2021.
Thank you very much, everyone.